Hello. Welcome to the first part of the tutorial Is Too Hard. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this series our protagonist Lee Ho-jae, 26 years old, is really tired. He is a former pro gamer. He is holding a shield and he is really sweaty. Something comes flying really fast and destroys one of his legs. He starts to scream with pain. He sees his leg. He says, "Lobby, I have to get back to the lobby." But he is hardly able to move. He thinks, this pain is real. What happens if I die here? System says, you have a keyed pain tolerance level 1. He thinks, am I really going to die so pitifully, in a place like this? I can't let that happen. Just where did it all go wrong? Well, that's obvious. That day, when that window appeared before me eyes. A window appears in front of him saying, select the tutorial difficult level. There are 4 difficulty: easy, normal, hard, hell. I shouldn't have picked that back then. He is still screaming with pain. System says, you have acquired pain tolerance level 2. You have acquired hemorrhage resistance level 1. He thinks, is this the end? After that we see some time ago. He is watching some live streams. He says, this is no fun, that's also no fun. All of these are so damn boring. He thinks, 2 years ago, I quit my job as a pro gamer. As set up a convenience store with the money I had saved. Then, I handed the management of the store over to the part-time worker, and shut myself in at home. I had basically retired at a young age. During my time as a pro gamer, I was considered as the best. But the competition was cutthroat, and before I knew it, I was pushed out of my spot from the top. So I retired without hesitation. And now, I face an unbearable boredom. What a boring life. A breaking news appears, saying, roughly 30 minutes ago all over the world, the sinkhole phenomena, just as you see here, have occurred simultaneously. The government is working to uncover the cause of these sinkholes. He says, what the hell is that? Reporter says, experts are warning that these sinkholes should not be approached. A system window appears in front of him saying, congratulations on being invited to the tutorial world. Sir Lee Ho-jae is confused and says, what the hell is this? Tutorial. Game. System says, would you like to enter the tutorial world? He says, did I drink too much? I must be hallucinating. Another window appears in front of him says, select the tutorial difficulty level. There are 4 difficulty levels. Easy, normal, hard, hell. He says, difficulty level. There are 4 of them. There never been a game I haven't been able to beat. I'm Lee Ho-jae. Nobody can match my game IQ. He chooses hell difficulty. Someone says, open your eyes. He says, who the hell are you guys? He moves back. He asks where is this? One of the other players says, this is the lobby on the first floor of the tutorial. Lee Ho says, first floor of the tutorial. What are you talking about? He says, calm down. Didn't you see those messages? Something about a tutorial. Did such a window not pop up? I'm talking about the messages on those windows. Lee Ho says, I saw them. I was too drunk to know what was going on exactly, but did all of you come here after reading those messages too? There's a girl as well. He says, we're just as confused. Please tell us if there's anything you know. He says, now that I think about it, they said on the news that all over the world weird holes. Sinkholes appeared. Perhaps that could be the cause. He says, what? Sinkholes? The hell are you on about? You're saying we're here because of those holes. You're out of your mind. Lee Ho says, no, I'm just saying it's a possibility. The other player says, now, let's calm down. Lee Ho looks towards his hand. The other players asks him what is it? Lee Ho says, I was completely drunk just a moment ago. But it seems I'm completely fine now. He says, about that. They say your body regenerates automatically here. Regenerates. What do you mean? He says, that's right. You haven't even chosen your weapon yet. Lee Ho asks weapon. You'll probably get a. He see a window saying, your weapon. Select you starting weapon. He gets teleported to the weapons room. What the hell? What about those people? Is this armory? He starts to look around and says, starting weapon selection. I see. It's the thing that happens at the start of every game. If this is the game world I'm thinking of, my starting weapon could have a big impact on my future. I've got to choose carefully. A game world, huh? Now, what should I choose? He thinks. First, something that's going to be important is play style. For games like this, there are jobs like DPS and healer. I should choose from those depending on my disposition and physical constitution. It also needs to be something that matches my ability. My strength and magical power are a bit. Let's pass the heavier weapons and staff. And ranged weapons would be harder to handle. Since it's attacking from a distance, it would be safer. But that's only when there's someone protecting me or if they can secure my distanced attacks. The object that I would be fighting is important too. If the enemies were not monsters and those other 3 people, a close combat weapon would be best. And asking those 3 people what weapon they chose would be, I still can't think properly. There's a chance there everyone is thinking of the same thing. If everyone is the enemy, going for the ranged weapon is better. Nobody knows the objective of the game. There's only one thing that's for sure. That the difficulty is hell. Putting all of this into consideration, the weapon I should choose is this. He chooses a sword and shield. They both are used item. He thinks, trash weapons. What? All the other weapons are trash too. Will you choose this weapon? He is really disappointed and says, yes, I will. Let's give it a try. He comes back to lobby. He thinks, this is the place we were before. They says, welcome back. Did you choose your weapon? Liho says, yes, well. He says, then I'll explain each window. One of the players says, yo, old man, that's enough. Leave that bastard alone. I'm about to explode from all this waiting. Why don't we just leave him? Liho says, what? He says, are you looking down on my? Should I show you the taste of my weapon? He says, don't be like this. There's only the 4 of us here. Wouldn't it better to help each other out? Liho says, thank you. But what do you mean by there's only the 4 of us? How do you know that? Good question. I'll explain it to you slowly. First, because of the windows. I'll do a demonstration. Inventory. An inventory window appears in front of him. You should try it. Liho says, yes. And then says, inventory. An inventory window appeared in front of him as well. He says, wow, cool. If you imagine putting in your weapon, it gets stored there. He says, really? Liho says, putting in my weapon. It's like I'm in a game. Next, shall we look at your stats? Status window. His states window appears. His strength is 8, agility 13, stamina 10, magic power 21. He says, because you're a beginner, your magic power is quite high. He thinks, I can see my stats. I chose the wrong weapon. He says, next is community. It's a board where you can communicate with those in a different lobby. He opens the community. A different lobby. He says, it's divided by difficulty level. It also shows the amount of people. Easy lobby has 61 people. Normal lobby had 24. Hard lobby has 16. And hell lobby has 4. He is shocked and thinks, this is all. The other player says, anyways. Let's all get along. Liho says, yes. And lastly the clock. If we swipe from the end of the screen, it'll show up. Lee swipes. There are 70 hours left for the first tutorial to begin. He thinks, there's little under 3 days left. The inventory and status window from before, it's a function that I've seen in RPGs a lot. And the fact that I can interact in the community means. The genre of this game is MMORPG. And, these people are my teammates. If that's so I need to learn more about these people. Should I start a conversation? He says, excuse me. It must be fate that we met like this. Why don't we introduce ourselves? He says, that sounds good. I'll start. Choi Min Shik. I'm 47. I'm a normal office worker. And when I was in school, I was athletic, so I'm confident in work that uses physical strength. After other one says, I'm Jo Kyung Min. Why are we doing something like this? Choi says, you over there, your cooperation would be. Jo says, cooperation. Are you an elementary school principal? Choi says, look here. Liho says, my name is Liho J. My age is 26. My hobby and speciality are all games. I'm a former pro gamer. Joe gets really excited and says, pro gamer. Perhaps Magic of Online. Lee says, no, an RTS game. Joe says, amazing. I really like games too. Even though I've only played Magic of Online. Lee-ho says, I also played that before the large-scale update. Choi says, those two suddenly got really close. Joe asks, old man, have you ever played it? The girl says, loudly says, excuse me. She says, my name is Park Soo-ha. I like animations. If it's for an animation government office, I could even write a 100-page thesis paper on it. Lee-ho says, let's organize the information first. If this is the world of a game, then it's most likely an RPG game. Weapons can be picked up, and there's a stats window as well. And because multiple people are in the world of this RPG, it has to be a MMORPG. Joe says, yeah, I was thinking of that too. In an RPG, the most important thing is party play. We'll need to cooperate with each other based on the characteristics of our weapons. Lee-ho bring out his shield and sword and says, firstly, what about we show our weapons to each other and decide our roles? Choi bring out a trident spear and says, I'll join in. Joe bring out a big axe and says, I chose this. Lee-ho thinks, oh my god. What is this? Both of them have close combat weapons. Hopefully it isn't all four of us. Miss Soo-ha's weapon is. He thinks, please, anything is fine. A bow or a throwing weapon, it just has to be a ranged weapon. She brings out a sword. Lee-ho is really scared and thinks, this party is so imbalanced. The first part of the tutorial is too hard ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like, and if you want to support me financially you can join my Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.
Hello. Welcome to the second part of the tutorial is too hard. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part we see that Lee-ho is really surprised and thinks everybody's using close-range weapons. This is such a trash balance. Choi says, but what do they mean by tutorial? They said that it's starting in 3 days. Joe says, you don't even know that? The tutorial is the stage that explains the controls, right? Lee-ho says, yes. Soo-ha says, we have to wait here for 3 whole days. I don't want to. Joe says, why, who are you to say that? Lee-ho thinks, 3 says. He says, everybody. Then for these 3 days before the tutorial, why don't we all train with a planned role? Joe says, training? Why would you do that? Completing the tutorial is easier than breaking a kid's wrist. Lee-ho says, even if it's a tutorial, the difficulty varies with each game. Some games end as soon as you start. And for us we have a disadvantage. They says, what? Lee-ho says, all of our weapons are close range. So if they attack from a far distance we'll be defeated immediately. Lee-ho says, but each weapon has its own character. For example, my sword and shield are good for the battle line. I can defend myself and also attack. Hyunmin's axe should have a much higher damage than my sword. Joe says, really? Lee-ho says, you should attack with me in the front lines. It's the most important role. Joe says, sounds good. Tell them to come on. Noah's Min's sick. Out of our weapons, Trident is the most useful when attacking from further distances. So please protect us from the backlands. Choi says, a true pro gamer. Soo-ha says, what about me? Lee-ho says, Soo-ha, you can be a rear guard. She says, a rear guard? Lee-ho says, if you support from the back lines. She says, the length of this sword is the same as Min's 6 trident so I can have the Smay roll as him. She says, I have confidence. Lee-ho says, it's not that. Basically, the back line is the safest. She says, what do you mean? No way. Are you discriminating against me because I'm a girl? I'm not sure if you're just saying that to seem manly in front of me, but it isn't cool at all in this era of gender equality, and more than anything, I am confident about my fighting. Lee-ho thinks, that's not it. That katana is just way too long. Do you feel like you just became the main character of a comic? And even your technique is incorrect. It's not a weapon a woman can swash around with on hand. You can't treat it like fighting power. Choi says, Suha, I get your feelings. But I thinks you should follow his suggestion. We should know what would happen. On hell difficulty. For now, just for everybody's safety. Let's hear out the pro gamer's opinion. She says, I mean, he has a point. They says, then let's get on with the training. She says, shine, shine. Judgment eternal. Joe says, what is that? Liho says, I'm not sure. Joe says, what are we even looking at? Liho says, I have no idea. Joe says, hey, Suha, could you stop doing that? Stop screaming every time you attack. It sounds weird. She says, you're supposed to chant the skill in order to activate it. Nothing's weird about his. Ju says, no, I'm pretty sure. She says, pierce the enemy. Wang will cham. Joe say, are you even listening? Choi says, Suha, since it's a katana, wouldn't it be sliced or cut instead of pierced? She says, that's not what I'm saying. Liho thinks Suha is concerning me, but everybody's getting better. Joe says, please listen to me. Liho thinks, I learned 2 new things. In this lobby, not only HP and injuries. Something else also recovers. Damaged weapons and armor recovers. And I'm not sleepy or tired. Because this lobby keeps you in the perfect condition, it's really good for training. But I'm curious about what happens if you die. In RPG games usually, you respawn in a village. If you can't respawn here, that means game over would end your life. Choi says, good. Then should we take turns? Kyung Min came here. Joe says, what? I felt pinned up anyways. I'll teach you who's boss. Get ready for your funeral, huh? Liho says, good job. She says, those 2 are fighting again. Liho says, I guess being the leader doesn't matter. Well, it's common in games. Players have fights over trivial things like that. If Min-sik become the leader, our team would rotate around defense. And if Kyung Min became the leader, we would only attack. She says, I thought of you as the leader. You seem mature for your age. Liho says, is that so? Nothing's really changed from when I was a college student. You said you graduated from SEO college, right? You're so smart. My parents said that if I failed my college entrance exams, they wouldn't let me become a pro gamer. After that, being a pro gamer didn't last long. She says, why did you quit? Liho says, that's... Joe says, having a weapon that long is cheating. Swap it with mine. Choi says, what are you saying? It's not the weapon, but how you use it, Kyung Min. He says, this old man really. Liho says, you too. She says, it's unfortunate we don't have popcorn and cola. He says, that's right. After that, system says, 1 SD round 0 days tutorial starts in 10 seconds. They say, it's finally starting. Joe says, I've never put so much effort into something in my life. I agree with you. I was able to get this far thanks to you guys. Thanks. Now, it's time. Tutorial first round will start shortly. A portal to the tutorial stage is being generated. For different portals appear in front of them. They really think this. Is it a portal? What is this? Single player. Solo battles? We only trained as groups. What do we do? Was all our training for nothing? Liho says, no. The time we spent together was not useless. System says, the portal will soon activate. They all start to disappear. Liho says, everyone. Until now, I always thought that solo play was more practical, and that I preferred it. But the past 3 says was so fun. And for the first time in a while, I enjoyed being at a party. Let's meet again. Stay safe. They says, yes. Of course. Take care. System says, the portal has been activated. Please enter the stage with the remaining time 24 hours. Tutorial stage, Hell Level Floor 1. He appears in a really long hallway. System says, welcome to the tutorial. It's finally starting. Liho says, and so it begins. He starts to walk ahead slowly. Some wind is flowing from the other side. He says, I'm getting goosebumps. He smiles and thinks, let's keep calm. The portal's still here? System says, will you move to the first floor lobby? Liho thinks, I can go back whenever I want. How nice of them. He pre-sees yes. He goes to the lobby and says, wow, of course, nobody's here. I left the tutorial within 1 minute. So now I know that I can return to the lobby at any point. But what happens when time runs out? As for the auto-regeneration, it's still effective, which means that even if I'm in a life or death situation in the tutorial, I'll be fine if I return here. Okay, this is good to know. Seems doable. Siho also returns. She fell on Liho. Liho says, right? It seems like the auto-regen in the lobby is still in place. If we're ever to get hurt somewhere, we can just come back here. She says, I see. It would be good for the other two to know this as well. Should we wait a little bit for them? He says, yeah, let's do that. System says, please enter the next stage. Time remaining, 23 hours 42 minutes. She says, it doesn't seem like they're coming back. Liho thinks, perhaps. He opens the community tab. All the players' count is the same. He says, it doesn't seem like it's game over for them. She says, shall we get going then? Time is bothering me. Liho says, sure. Hey ho J Appa. I have a favor to ask. He says, what is it? She says, when we get back, reach me how to play games, so we can play together. And she gets really close to him. And he thinks, what is this? She says, and when we get back, I want to know more about you. Off I go. He gets back to the first floor and says, all right. Now, one more time. Status. There was that portal a while ago, as well as the timer. There are too many things I don't know yet. It bothers me a little that there are no HP or MP bars, but I guess it's okay for now, as long as I can dodge fatal attacks. Since I'll be able to heal up in the lobby. Now let's go. He thinks it said human in the status tab, meaning that other races exist in this world. Now, anyone bring it on. 30 minutes later, nothing's happening. What the hell? It's been over 30 minutes, and there's not even an event, much less an enemy. Hey moderator, is this a butt? No. Don't underestimate a gamer. I made a living out of my concentration. System window appears saying battle focus level 1. Determination level 1. He says, what the hell have I acquired? Some skills? They're both passive skills. In the majority of RPG games, skills are divided into active skills and passive skills. Active skills are skills that need to be activated by the player consciously and are only effective temporarily. And passive skills are skills whose effects are activated at all times. Upon being learned, he thinks, all right, I'm getting the hang of things, battle focus and determination. It seems like skills are created when certain conditions are met. They're both skills related to the situation I'm in right now. If I'm right, then in order to gain skills, I need to experience as many different things as possible. Should I tell the others 3 as well? Right. Maybe I can post it on the community bulletin board. He says, community. He feels a really strong wind and says, what's this? What's this aura? Is it coming from over there? Something comes really fast and hits him in the leg. The second part of the tutorial is too hard ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.